Hey ski team athletes, here today we are going to go over the ground hip-based mobility. So we're going to start on the ground and then we're going to get into what's called the Shin Box series. So we're going to focus a lot on internal and external rotation of the hips in this ground-based mobility so we can get everything square. So the first thing we're going to do is start on our back on the ground to get those hips loosened up before we get into the main Shin Box series. So you're going to start, as per usual, on the ground, hands, palms facing down, so our shoulder blades squeezing tight to the ground. From here, we're going to put our right ankle on our left knee. Now we're going to focus on driving this right knee to the ground. So you can already see how we kind of open that hip up, and you should feel a good stretch in here. And then we're going to slowly drop that right foot all the way to the ground, while we keep our shoulder blades planted firmly on the ground. Now remember, don't rush through this movement. Take your time, slow and controlled on the rotation. And make sure this knee doesn't come up as we're dropping. You always want to keep this angle open so we're in that nice figure 4 position. So you're going to do 10 on each side, planting the foot side down. All right? Full, slow and controlled on the rotation. Once we're done with all 10 reps on that side, we're going to switch the knee we drop down. So we're going to go from planting the foot side down to now dropping our knee down. So we're going to set up a little bit. We're going to take this inside leg. Foot goes a little bit wider than the hip. Now we're going to still focus on driving this knee out. And we're going to now drop that inside knee all the way to the ground while we focus on pushing our hips away from us, up and out. Up and out. You should feel a good stretch on that hip flexor. Again, you're going to do 10 of these each side. All right, so again, on this right side, it looks like we're scooching that left foot out, giving us room, dropping that knee all the way to the ground. And that's what we want to focus on, is this knee goes all the way to the ground. We're not just hovering it there. We're getting it to the ground by extending our hips. And you should feel some good stretch in there. So once we're done with that, on our back, we're going to move into the Shin Box series. So this is the first of the Shin Box series. We get in what's called chill out position, so our hands drive behind our back like we're chilling out on the grass, right? And our hip, then we place our feet a little bit wider than our hips. Now from this, we're going to move our knee to our ankle. But what I want you to focus on is keeping your shoulders square in front of you, and you're just going to let that knee drop to the ankle. Now you see, if I went from here, I rotated the foot up, and now my knee now matches my heel. So we're in this box position or 90-90 position. That is the Shin Box, right? And I want you again, take that shoulder, make sure it doesn't open up and face it. We're going to face opposite. That way we can focus on internal rotation on one side, external rotation on the other side. Right? And you're going to do 20 of these total. Now you might have to scooch around, move your feet around to find a comfortable position for you. Everybody's position is different. So find one that works for you. Just make sure you're getting that rotation. So then we challenge this movement. Our hands go in front, and we think about keeping our upper body tall. So now we're driving in the same rotation. Now we're just challenging that rotation by our upper body being in a strong, tall position. And we do the same thing. Notice I don't rotate my shoulders with my hips. I keep that upper and lower body separation. And again, we do 20 on that side. Now we're going to go into a Shin Box Hinge. For this one, now we're going to want to follow that rotation. So we set up the same as before. Hands are going to be in front, upper body is going to be tall. Now you're going to drop to one side into that Shin Box series. Now I want you to follow your hips with your shoulders, right? And now your chest should be facing that front knee. Now from here, I want us to use that hinge position. So we think about dropping our chest and still think about driving your hips back. And you should feel an awesome stretch in that glute area, right? Come back up. Drive all the way down, up, and then you're going to switch sides, following. Now this time, shoulders follow hips. and we're hinging, right? Again, upper body stays tall and neutral. I'm not just collapsing down. I stay tall and neutral, and I'm driving the hips back, come back up. Rotate, drive. Now this next one, we're really gonna work on internal rotation. So after the hinge, after you're starting to get everything loosened up, we're gonna go back to our starting position. Then we're gonna drive into the shin box. Again, we're gonna follow that chest, follows that front knee. So we're in that same position as the chest hinge. Now, you can put your hand on your back knee, and what we're gonna focus on is driving our ankle bone to the ceiling. So that's working the internal rotation, rotating in of our hips. So I'm gonna place my hand on my knee just to give it a little security. If you don't need to do that, that's awesome, but just to give yourself a little security, put that hand on there. From here, you're gonna think about chest staying forward, then you're gonna bring that ankle bone up to the sky, hold for 5 seconds, back down. Bring it up to the sky, and back down. And I like to use my other hand to kind of brace my core and keep me up, because sometimes people will go like this just so they can get a little more internal rotation, right? We want to challenge ourselves and our upper body being tall, so use that other hand to brace your body. And we're just gonna really squeeze, hold for 5 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds, back down, rotate to the opposite side. Again, right, so you're gonna do 5 of those each side. And that is gonna be the end of the beginner Shin Box series. Look for our second video on the Shin Box series for the more advanced movements in the Shin Box series.